Tyreek Hill, explosive. Give him all that.
Right.
Devontae Adams, one of my number one wide receiver in the NFL right now. Stephon Diggs right there with him. Right. Justin Jefferson. I mean, I can go on and on about them. But when you talk about the golden age of wide receivers, I personally wish I was born
right now.
Right now.
My man Bucky Brooks joins me. Discuss the golden age of wide receiver. I guess I think it was last week you put out an article on Fox Sports, and you talked about the receivers in this era of football proclaiming, I guess that, but you got an opportunity now to clean that up, proclaiming that they were probably the best group in the history of the National Football League. Now, obviously, between myself and Michael Irvin on Undisputed, we both took exception to that. Oh, absolutely, 100%. Because when you think about it, I would say it's the era of opportunity, okay, with the receivers that you mentioned, which are all great guys. I mean, I could point to so many of them, though, and be like, yeah, but they would be the third guy on our teams. They would be the speed guy, reverses, you know.
That era is different.
It's different, totally different.
From yesteryear when we played. And so you have to understand that it goes deeper than what they're doing at the pro level. It goes all the way back to, like Keyshawn, these guys now are catching hundreds and hundreds of balls at the collegiate level. We've never seen a group of receivers more prepared to play in the National Football League than this era, which is why we're seeing guys like, Puka Nacua come in and right away shatter records coming out of BYU, because the reps that they get in college prepares them to play the game right away. And
see, I think it's way different than what you just said, because you say the reps that they got at BYU. No, it's the system that Sean McVay has put him in, because that's the same system that Justin Jefferson is in, the same system that Cooper Kupp is in, all of the pick routes, the motions, across formations, free access. When we play, we ain't got no free access. But we go across the middle, man, knocking your head off. These dudes cannot, they go across the middle, then forget it, the middle. The sidelines. They don't have to worry about getting hit.
I mean, look, I can't help what the legislation is.
I understand. It's easier.
See, it might be easier, but in terms of being the golden age, we haven't seen guys that are as prolific as these guys have been.
If you put some of the same guys that played when we played in this era right here, you know what we would have done to the record books?
Well, I mean, like you like to think. I mean, but right now we sound like the old man on the lawn.
No, it's not an old man. I'm trying to bring some perspective to your article, because the way you wrote it is as if they're better than the other guys that we're talking about in my era. Like these dudes, look, they got speed. Are they faster? Yeah, I would probably say, yeah. We had, because the guys that can run with us, they was the third dudes or the second guys.
Well, yeah, I mean,
right? They were the second and third dudes.
It's a different time, but let's go back, because when we were coming out, and I don't know what your experience was like. I mean, you're number one overall, but you didn't have to do all the stuff at the combine and all that other stuff. But let's just think about the training that these kids have now. Like when we went to the combine back then in workouts, it was a mystery. We didn't know what it looked like. These guys have been training since they're 7, 8 years old, running routes, working on the cones, doing the ladder, doing all this other stuff, where from a skill standpoint, they're more advanced.
We did that too. I did the ladders and the cones and all that. I did everything.
Later, you weren't doing it at 6 or 7.
No, not at 6 or 7.
So
no, not at all.
These guys are doing all of these things 7 on 7. They're playing year round.
We were not doing 7 on 7.
They're fully refining their skills, and so to me, it's a much easier.
Yes, it is easier, much easier. Imagine Steve Atwater when you're running a deep dig, playing in this era. He'd get cut.
He can't do that stuff
because he couldn't hit anybody, and the first thing they'd say is, well, we have no use for him. If you're running across the middle or you're running a slant in this era, you don't have to worry about LaVon Kirkland buzzing down on you at 280, 285 and worrying about catching the football and getting plastered all over the field, where now all I got to do is worry about catching the ball. That's it. That's all I got to do. I got to catch the ball.
But we can't worry about that. It's no
but you
different.
Can't call.
It's the golden era. Look at the numbers. The numbers are the numbers.
So if okay, so you took it on a 3-year 3-year span. So here's a 3-year sample size. It's not a setup, but it is a setup.
It is a setup.
So you say, so I'm going to take 98 to 2000, 3-year average of receiving leaders accounted for 36.1% of the league's passing during that same span. Now go 20 to 22, 3-year average, which is your guys. They're at 34.3. We were at 36. Now I took myself out of it. I didn't even put myself in it. I left me out. Yeah. I just put Marvin Harrison, Torrey Hope, Rod Smith, Isaac Bruce, Terrell Owens, Randy Moss, Tim Brown, Jerry Rice, and Chris Carter. I didn't even put like Michael Irvin. I kept us completely out of it. In your list is Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, CeeDee Lamb, Tyreek Hill, Devontae Adams, Stephon Diggs, Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle, and Amon-Ra St. Brown. Now, the accolades part of it we go to 64 Pro Bowls. Now, here's what I'm going to say. On record, their careers aren't finished. These guys are all retired. Their careers aren't finished. 64 Pro Bowls, 25 All-Pros. Now, mind you, Michael's out, I'm out. Super Bowls, 8. Hall of Famers, 7. Now, so far, 23 Pro Bowls, 9 All-Pros, 1 Super Bowl, which goes to Tyreek Hill, and 0 Hall of Famers because they're not retired. Now, when I look at that list over those 3 years and I look at your list over those 3 years, I'm like, I might be able to find maybe like Tyreek, Justin Jefferson is a long ways to go, Jamar Chase a long ways to go, CeeDee Lamb a long ways to go. But when I'm looking at this, I'm sitting there and I'm saying to myself, these can't compare to these other guys over here to the left. They just can't compare.
They can't compare. They can't compare. It was nice you were using percentages. I like to use real yards. So, like, I wasn't great in math, but I do know arithmetic. And so when I was looking at the numbers, and you're talking about all this percentages and percentage of yards, I can't worry about all that. All I can worry about in this 3-year period where you talk about 3-year average of the leading receiver. I see 1,763 yards.
Throwing the football.
I'm just saying. That's what it says.
They're throwing the football
because in 25 years, when the people look back at the annals, that's what they're going to see. They're going to see those numbers. They're not going to calculate those percentages. And so I'm looking at all these guys, and look, 2022, Justin Jefferson had 1,800 yards.
They throw the ball 47.9% of the time.
2,000 yards again. And so when I think about this era, look, I can't help how they legislated all the big hits out. Like I played in that Ronnie Lott era, Steve Atwood, those guys with the big shoulder pads and all that. But they're not doing that anymore. And so what's going to happen because of that? Not only are they going to ring up numbers annually, but now they're going to play longer because I don't have to get hit. And so when these guys master the art of sliding and getting down and not taking those shots, we're going to see receivers play.
But so you got to factor in,
16
but you got to factor into your argument that they are playing in a much easier era. So if it was, they might as well legislation to flag football. Just turn it into flag football. Yeah, if you all you care about is the numbers, if they turn it into flag football, them dudes will have 5,000 yards a year.
I mean, like the league made it where it's, look, I can't put it back. I can't put the genie back in the bottle and say I want them to play against Mel Blount and those guys. Those guys aren't. I think
the exception is the way you phrase it in your article. And like I say, it's the golden age of opportunity.
Oh, you don't like the semantics.
No, it's real semantics, though.
You just don't like
because
it's
the golden age of opportunity. It just is. You can't possibly look at it and I won't even say, because they were still knocking your head off 6 years ago. Mm-hmm. So it's not like all of a sudden they outlawed hitting people because you still get hit. But when you are in the middle of the field or you are trying to catch a ball, you don't have to worry about being hit. It makes it so much easier to be productive.
Oh, it does.
100%. Think about it. When you're running a seam route and a safety is bearing down on you and it's a bang-bang play, you're worried about protecting yourself and catching the football. Now you can catch the football and not get touched. There's so many, these long runs you see when guys catch the ball, they're gone because the defensive back just stops because he doesn't want to get penalized for knocking somebody's head off, so the tackling is worse. How many guys in the last, I don't know, let's call it 3 years, you've seen go 80? Everybody.
I mean, but it's
they
different.
going 80 left and right.
But I would say that there's a better product at wide receiver than there was previously.
And on top of that,
there's a better player.
That's not true.
There's
That's
a better
not true.
athlete. So,
and on top of that, from a defensive back standpoint,
when we're talking about that era, because remember, when we're talking about it, the running backs were the marquee position. So in Little League and high school, everybody, your best athlete went to running back because they're the ones that got fed. Well, now we don't do that anymore.
No, not with us. We threw the ball.
Yeah, but you're out west. But I'm saying the majority of the country, they were still old school 3 yards in a cloud of dust. It's now opened up to where they're throwing it. So now in high school, Johnny, high school coach, is taking the 4 best athletes and putting them out wide. They're going to spread. They're throwing it.
Yeah.
So now you're getting a more skilled, a more refined, a guy who has more experience and expertise playing than in our era out wide.
When you talk about and again, I say easier. When you talk about from a defensive standpoint, you got 3 corners in all of the league that you would say is a shutdown guy, maybe 3.
Yeah, because all those guys that used to be shutdown guys, they're now playing wide out.
With us, every single week when we play, we had to go through Dora Green, Champ Bailey, Charles Woodson, Rod Woodson. I go on and on and on, Ty Law. I can just go on and on and on and on about the defensive backfield, not including the safety position. When you had to go against the Steve, I wasn't, Ronnie Lott was before me, but Steve was at the end. His career was at the end of the start of mine. I had to deal with those type of safeties, Darren Woodson. These dudes ain't got to deal with nothing. Come on, man.
No, they don't have to deal with them because they're playing beside them on offense.
That's why it's easier.
They're playing wide receiver.
That's why it's easier.
Because now wide receiver is a marquee position.
Well, I wouldn't say that they playing wide receivers because defensive backs can't catch.
Well, I mean,
receivers can catch. Defensive backs can't catch.
But some of them, they're trying to go out there. And so what's happening, you're getting a lesser athlete at defensive back because they're taking the best athletes
and they're not even playing real man-to-man. They're not playing real man-to-man. Every time I line up and go to the left, I had Dale Carter going with me to the left. If I look over to the right, I got Deion Sanders over there at the right. I couldn't catch a break.
Yeah, I mean,
that's not the case now.
It's not. But you want to penalize the wide receivers for who's on the other side? We can't do that.
I'm not penalizing them. I'm penalizing you for your article and how you wrote it. Is what I'm doing.
No. It's the golden era. We haven't seen guys put up this kind of numbers, have this kind of impact.
They play 17 games. They throw the ball 47% of the time.
They just started playing 17 games. They just started
2 years ago.
They just started playing 17.
2 or 3 years ago. They just started. 2 years ago, they just started playing 17. But they've been throwing the football for the last, at an alarming rate for probably the last 6 years.
It has become a quarterback-driven
league. They throw the ball. They drop back and literally throw the football on every. It's 3rd and 1 they throwing.
I mean, you got better playmakers.
And on top of that, they ain't running real routes. Everything is schemed.
What are we talking about?
They're not even running real routes.
They're not running real routes.
They're not running the route tree. They running smoke screens. They running now routes. Dude, how many times have you seen them pick up the ball and throw it out there and let it do work? Yeah, but you account that as a receiver?
I mean, I would count that as evolution of the National Football League in the passing game.
Now you going with the semantics.
Like it's the evolution of the passing game.
Bucky.
I know way back in the day you had Eric Coryell, and then you have the offshoots of that with Joe Gibbs and that stuff. Now we're seeing stuff with RPOs and all that other stuff.
If you give a dude now routes, one step up and throw it out to him, if you was giving that to
they were doing that back in Brett Favre was raising up and doing that stuff.
But not at an alarming rate. Okay, that was a certain look. If you got a certain look, you get to the line of scrimmage and you check with me, and if the DB was over here, and then you pull up and throw it because it becomes a run. They come out the huddle. Yeah. Pre-snap, already out the huddle. This is the play that's called. They gonna turn around and throw it to a guy and account for that.
I would say
they running trick plays in Kansas City to get touches, shovel passes that account for a completion. So those numbers are inflated because of that. I mean, if you give somebody think about this. It is some inflation. Think about this. If you gave Rod Smith, you gave Rod Smith 20 of them now routes a year. He already caught 100 balls. He'd have 120 more catches.
Yeah, I would say, and I love Rod Smith. Haven't played against him.
Yeah.
He was great for the Broncos.
Yeah.
But I think he's in a different category than Justin Jefferson and some of these other guys that are ringing up these numbers.
You think he's in a different category?
Absolutely.
Rod Smith play on the numbers. He catches balls on the numbers.
He did.
There's a say it again. I need don't mumble it. Say it louder.
He caught it, but also he had a hog in the backfield. He had a Hall of Fame quarterback in John Elway.
Yeah, but
I mean, I'm not saying that this is the case that we're legislating for Rod Smith to be a Hall of Famer. I'm just saying the emphasis and the focus, bringing me back to my point, that era was about the running back. It was about making sure we took care of Terrell Davis.
But
we would take our chances.
Dude still had 90 grabs and 1,300 yards and went to Pro Bowls and all of those sort of things. When you say it was about the running back, no, it was about balance. It was about balance is what it was about. And when you have balance, you win. When you don't have balance, you don't win. And you look at the teams that have won, they got balance.
They do.
Even to this day, they're balanced. You look at the Philadelphia Eagles, they're balanced. They run the football, and Jalen Hurts is throwing it.
You know why they're balanced? They're balanced because they have two 1,000-yard receivers. Because they have two spectacular playmakers.
Well, I had 2,000-yard receivers when I was with the Jets.
I'm just saying.
We had 1,000-yard receivers in
with
Tampa.
the running game, but also having those wide receivers that can get loose, A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith.
I understand that. But what I think you have become a prisoner of the moment with the wow factor, of Tyreek Hill catching a shallow cross when nobody could hit him going on the shallow. Could you imagine what Derrick Brooks would have did to him on the shallow cross?
It's a different thing because back in the day, Tyreek Hill, the Deebo Samuels, those guys would have been running backs. But now they've made their way to the perimeter. And because they have running back bodies and physicality and strength and explosiveness, you now put them out wide, they can make it happen. I mean, back in the day in Green Bay, they used to want to make guys who are punt returners into wide receivers because their ability to maneuver in open field. We're seeing more of those guys make their way to the wide receiver position and have success. So on all the little stuff you talk about, the now screens, the bubbles, the RPOs, they now are more dangerous and explosive.
Where you make your mistake with me and Michael is you say wide receiver,
wideouts.
golden age.
Yeah.
First of all,
look, man, I already know. Like I saw Playmaker before we came in. He signed off on it. I know he's okay with me saying that.
No, you can say it all you want. But when you start talking about wide receiver, we're not getting scheme to get open. It's mano a mano, man on man. I'd rather beat you man on man than you sweep me across run a slant.
See, I think what you want to have is you want to have the discussion on a true number one receiver.
Well, that's what you taking these numbers and saying these are true ones.
It's a difference between a true number one. I can acknowledge what you're talking about. There's a difference putting you and Michael on the perimeter. Y'all would be number ones in this era. It still means the era, though, of the ones, the twos, and the threes. Collectively, they're all nice. Those twos and threes that you were playing with, they may not be able to get down in this era.
No, they would be ones in this era.
Oh, I don't know if they'd be ones.
They would be ones in this era.
I don't know if they would be ones.
Absolutely, 100%. Me and Michael talked about Kevin Williams that played with him in Dallas with Alvin Harper.
Talking about 85, he wouldn't be a one.
Are you crazy?
He would not be a one.
He does the same thing those dudes do. Oh, my goodness.
He wouldn't be a one. He'd be exactly what he was. He wouldn't be a one.
No, that's not true.
He wouldn't be a one.
He's a 4-3 dude. He's a 4-3 dude that can run.
He'd be out.
If my guy, if the joystick in Kansas City, Dante Hall.
Oh, come on.
Are you serious?
Come on. He's a nice punt returner. He could come in and do some of the stuff.
He could do the same things. His scheme. I just gave you an example. I gave you 3 players from Sean McVay's system. I gave you Puka, Cooper Kupp, and Jefferson.
Wait a minute. So you're like, so we're talking about Dante Hall. We're talking about Thorpe the X. I'm talking about him.
100%.
I'm not even convinced. Like, and look, see, because I don't want to go very be mad at me. But
no,
I don't know if he could be like Brandon Cooks. I don't know if he could do that. Like, I don't know if he could do that.
It's the same thing.
It's punt returner. He was a punt returner. Great punt returner. One of the best that we've ever seen.
But you put the ball in his hands. You just said it. Once you put the ball in his hands and they could scoot and do that, that's who he was.
I think what you're doing is you're being very nostalgic.
No, I'm not.
I feel like
I'm breaking it down
you've been looking
for
at
you.
those classic games. I think you've been very
when you think about
nostalgic.
When you think about it, we played outside and inside. Okay, we didn't just stay inside. It motioned across.
Well, now you know
to the inside
because creativity. I mean, we're seeing Mike McDaniels motion him out. We motion them out sometimes. They're using the CFL type stuff.
We didn't need to do all that.
They're using waggle. It's just the evolution.
Hey, man.
It's the evolution of the NFL passing game.
I'll give you the list again, man. Marvin, Torrey, Rod, Isaac, T.O., Randy, Tim Brown, Jerry.
I like all
They
those
need to
guys.
do all that because they lined up Imano. I'm fighting the fight for them. There's nothing against these young guys in the way that they play now. I love them all. I just think when you say golden age, and this is the only time in NFL history you've ever seen this.
It's the only time I've ever seen
That's
guys.
a lie, man.
I mean, every time I look at a year, there are a bunch of guys with 100 catches. I mean,
because
I
they
see
throw
stuff.
the ball
I see a guy
all the
come
time.
right off, 5th round pick, come right away and 25 catches first 3 games,
Think about
30s
it.
plus catches. I mean, I'm just saying.
You scouted for a long time. Think about it.
Just saying.
That same guy that you just said, 5th round pick, 25 catches.
Oh, no, you played with a team, and Wayne Corbett was undrafted.
But we gave him the rock and put him in a situation.
And so it's the same thing Sean McVay's doing
successful. That's what I'm trying to tell you. If you didn't scheme in that situation, Bucky, that 80 catches, 1,000 yards wouldn't have been there. It just wasn't going to happen that way. It just wasn't. You know what I'm saying? It was almost like a situation where our coaches knew, okay, we need another receiver opposite of him because they're going to take Keyshawn away by doubling him and putting linebackers underneath and all that. We need somebody to rise to the occasion. Wayne rose to the occasion and to the challenge. You see, he's a guy who could play in both eras because he predominantly played in the slot with me.
Mm-hmm.
He never really played on the outside. You slide him into this era, you get the Cooper Kupp, man. Same thing.
Oh.
Same thing.
I don't know if they're the same. I won't say they're the same.
Well, you don't want to agree because you wrote the article, but you know I'm telling the truth.
I don't say they're the same.
And I respect all these dudes. I really do. I think all of them are, especially, Devontae Adams is different. He could have played with us by far. Like, he's the best receiver in the league to me.
Okay.
Devontae Adams is the best receiver in the league.
Justin Jefferson couldn't play with us?
Different. It's a slot dude, man.
Oh, my God.
To me, that's just my liking. I'm not saying that he doesn't excel when they give him the ball.
Cooper Kupp couldn't play?
Different, man. It's different.
6'2".
See, the thing is, again, when you talk like that, you say couldn't. I had to play against Sean Springs. I had to play against Champ Bailey. And not Champ Bailey at 80. I'm talking about Champ Bailey fresh out of Georgia. You know, I had to play against Darryl Green.
Yeah, I mean, you played against some all-timers.
All-timers. Every single week, I had a borderline Hall of Famer or a Hall of Famer covering me. So when you say could they have played, they probably could have gotten on the team, but they not catching 110 balls. I can guarantee you that. I can guarantee you that. You know how hard it was to get open on Deion? It was so damn hard. It was just hard.
But I feel like you're blaming the wide receivers for the ineptitude.
No, I'm blaming you for writing the damn article is what I'm doing.
I feel like you're blaming the other guys, like you're trying to take away from the shine from the wideouts. They can't help who they put out in front of them.
They can't. I'm just saying when you say golden age, you never seen anything like it. And I'm like, okay, how do I understand the context in which he's trying to say? Is it they're better than this group of guys? Are they more talented, more athletic? What are you trying to say?
Yes,
and then you come with the numbers. I'm like, I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, like, we'll see. We'll see in a couple of years when all these guys get these gold jackets because of these ridiculous numbers that they put up. We'll see.
Man, that list I gave you, they got a long ways to go. I mean, literally, they'll get, if they play in a longevity stand, from a standpoint of longevity, some of these dudes will break other people's records because that's just what it is. But I also factor in they playing 17 games and they throwing the damn ball 1 million times. And I know you I sound like an old man.
You over there. You over there.
I'm just giving you some facts, man.
Come on, man. It's the old MJ, LeBron, Kobe debate. That's what you're throwing out. That's what we're doing. Old man LeBron. We're over that.
Hey, man, thanks. I ain't got no more to say. I won this conversation.
Oh, my God.
So I'm good with it. No, but thanks for coming in and I enjoyed the conversation. I respect them. I think they all good. I love them. I think in this group of receivers, Devontae Adams is my 1. I got Tyreek as my 2. Then from there, I look at Stephon Diggs as my 3. See, Stephon Diggs to me, he can play with us because he can play everywhere. Yeah. He can play inside, outside. He can run routes. He can stop on the dime.
I like all those guys.
All those dudes,
man.
All those guys. Justin Jefferson hasn't grown on me yet because I kind of know what he in. And so I think from a football IQ standpoint, I know what that is. I know what that is. You know what it is too.
Well, I like guys that score touchdowns and do the gritty. That's my bad. I just like it.
All right. Well, thanks for joining and coming in, Bucky. I appreciate it.
Oh, good.